Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's Cantor Adam. I'm here in the beautiful sanctuary here at Temple Beth-El, along with our good friend Shai Kedmi, and we're so pleased to see you this Shabbat. We begin with words from the Song of Songs, the love song, the love text between God and the people of Israel, which is traditionally read every Shabbat by Sephardic families, but is also traditionally read on Passover, because it's the beginning of the relationship between the people of Israel and the Eternal. And so if you'd like to join with me, please feel free to turn to page 11 in our books, at the top of the page. Dodi li vani lo haroe bashoshanim dodi li vani lo haroe bashoshanim dodi I'm thinking about these words, Dodi, Li, and this notion of love between the Eternal and our people, especially at this Passover season. And I'm also thinking about the beautiful day that we had. It was 70 degrees almost, maybe more. And I thought, this is the festival of spring coming up, Chag HaAviv, as it's called in the Torah. And when I think of spring, I think of greens, but I also think of strawberries. And so I went to the store to pick up some strawberries. And there I actually ran into some friends of ours, the Polikars, and they were checking out before me. And I remembered that on Tuesday, our student, Matt Polikar, said something very, very wise for a 12-year-old. He said, I'm realizing now that Passover is like Independence Day for the Jewish people. And he's right. It is. So I'm thinking of Matt for that wonderful thought. I'm also thinking of another person whose name starts with M, Meir, my father, actually. And that's because every year before Passover, there's something called Ta'anit Bechorim, the fast of the firstborn. And he and I used to go to Minyan to do a little halachic loophole. So instead of having a fast for the firstborn, if you study the end of a tractate of Talmud, you get to get out of the fast. So I have this tradition, and I did it on Thursday, and I Zoomed with a wonderful set of rabbis, actually in LA, because at 7 a.m. I was actually with our minyan. And they had this wonderful teaching about the custom of searching for chametz, bedikat chametz, the search for chametz. And they cited this wonderful Mishnah, which we concluded with, and thereby could have our shmear with bagel. They talked about how the search for chametz doesn't have to be all the way to every single extent of everything. That there's cited in the Mishnah that if you have a wine cellar, you only need to go into the first rack or two, as though we all have a rack or two of wine in our cellar, but you only have to go a little bit in because it's obvious where the chametz would be. You wouldn't go all the way in the back with a sandwich. It's right there. And we also know that our sages teach us, even from 1,000 years ago, that the search for chametz is not just about the literal chametz, it's about our inner chametz, our spiritual chametz, the leavening that clogs up our arteries and our hearts and makes it stiff. And so as I sat there this week scrubbing crumbs off of my toaster oven in the place that I knew chametz would be, I realized, oh, it's obvious, right? That it's in our hearts that the chametz is. That's where we should be looking to clear out the junk. So this idea of love and opening our hearts is with us and ever present on this Passover holiday. And of course, we're also thinking of another mayor as well, our own beloved Rabbi Meir Feldman, who had his own sort of opening in his heart this week. And we're praying for him and his speedy recovery, that he'll be back with us soon. And he taught us those wise words that he sent out via email this week, that we should be opening our hearts. And I know that tonight, as we think of this connection between our people in Israel, our people in God, that we will open our hearts and we'll open them wide and we'll pray for his recovery and we'll get that spiritual chametz out of our midst. So with that, I'm going to invite myself to light the candles because I have them right here. And so if you'd be so kind, Greg, to switch the view, I will lead us in the lighting of the candles. And look, I'm right here. That was amazing, wasn't it? It was a bit of magic. We do so many fun things with technology now. It's fantastic. So we're going to light the candles and bring in Shabbat, which you can find on page 2. E minor, if you will. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Lecho neranena l'Adonai, nari'ah letzor yishenu, b'kadma fanav b'todah, b'zmirot nari'ah lo, b'kadma fanav b'todah, b'zmirot nari'ah lo. אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ ותועפות הרים לו, אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ ותועפות הרים לו. Psalm 96 on page 13. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, פסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומחולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, עוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, Hayam, Yihiram Hayam, Umlo, Yihiram Hayam, Yihiram Hayam, Yihiram Hayam, Umlo, Yalon Sadai vechol asher bo, az yaranenu kol asher yar, lifnei Adonai kiva, kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, ve'amim be'emunato. Adonai Malach Tegel Haaretz, we're on page 14, Psalm 97. Adonai Malach Tegel Haaretz, Yismechu Yim Rabim, Anan V'Rafel Sevivat Tzedek U'Mishpat Michon Giso. O Haver Adonai Tzinura, Shomer Navashor Chazidav, Miyad Reshayim Yatzileh. Last paragraph on the bottom of page 14. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei Tzadikim b'Adonai, b'Adonai, v'hodu lezecher kodesho, lezecher kodesho. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, b'Adonai, v'hodu lezecher kodesho, lezecher kodesho. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Continue on page 16 with the second half of Psalm 98. Top two lines. Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre and melodious song. Zamru Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra. 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 Zamru Adonai bechinor, bechinor, וכל זמרה. We're at the bottom of page 17, the last stanza of Psalm 99. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. We continue on page 18. Stay in E minor. Actually, E major. Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei li, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, ay lay lay, ohov l'Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al hamayim, al mayim, mayim rabim, kol Adonai b'kohav, kol Adonai behadar, ay ay ay, kol Adonai shover arazim vayeshaber Adonai et arzei הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסריון כמו בין רמים, כל אדוני חוצב להבות אש, ay lay lay, כל אדוני יחיל מדבר, יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יחיל איילות ויחסו ויערות ובהיכלות כולו מרכבות, ay lay 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 lay. That's 4 lines on page 19. Adonai למבול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. ay ay lay lay We're on page 20. We welcome the Sabbath Queen. Lecha Dodi, come my beloved. Let us welcome the spirit of love into our midst. The spirit of Shabbat, the Sabbath Queen. Lecha Dodi, likra Shabbat nekabela ya la 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 ya 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 la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishemiyanu elam yuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shemo tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof מעשה במחשבת תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי Kiva ore come ori Shir daberi Uri uri Shir daberi Kevod Adonai Alayich nigla Lecha dodi Likrat kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha dodi Likrat kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Now we chose this lively melody because it is like the spring awakening we are experiencing now. And because when we say, Uri, Uri, Shir Daberi, arise, arise, get up, let the light shine upon you. Kumi Uri, get up. We're not just talking about the Sabbath bride, we're thinking of someone else, and we want to make sure that he hears us to get up soon. And I know that if he's hearing this, he's dancing as much as he can because it might be painful. But he would ask us now to get up. And so let's get up for him because he probably can't right now. So let's rise to our feet and in our hearts as we welcome the Sabbath Queen with verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam besimcha ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, קני שבת, לקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, קני שבת, נקבלה. Continue with Psalm 92 on page 22, the Psalm for the Sabbath day. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שמחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. צדיק תמר יפרח, כארץ בלבנון ישגה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד גלובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים, Page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barachuni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitekhem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 26. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabbi, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. If you're comfortable, please rise. Otherwise, rise in your heart as we respond to the call to prayer on page 28. Transition from day to night, page 30. Baruch atah Adonai lemelech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv ערבים בחוכמה פותח שירים ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים לשמונותיהם ברקיע כרצונו בורא יום בלילה בורא לפני חושך וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הערבים. Page 32. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Halakein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu uvegumeinu nasiach b'churotecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nehege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Never remove your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated. We continue with that theme of love on page 36. Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'ribarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Let's turn to page 39. And before we read this wonderful poem, I just want to comment. Some of you may have heard some melodies that sound familiar, but you can't quite place it. What was that thing he did in Chatzi Kaddish? What was that melody? It's a melody from Passover, and we have a little cantorial tradition that we preview what's about to come with music in our service. So you'll hear that melody again shortly. But let's read together on the top of page 39 as we are about to embark on this moment of transition from slavery to freedom in our hearts. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 40, Mi Chamocha. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, okayam livnei Moshe, zeini anu ve'yameru Adonai Yimloch Le'olam Va'ed V'ne'emar Kifada Adonai Et Yaakov Gualo Miyad Chazak Mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gaal Yisrael. We turn to page 42 and we prepare for our evening slumber. Ashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Ve'amidenu Shomreinu Shomreinu Lechayim Ashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Ve'amidenu Shomreinu Shomreinu Lechayim Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Haporei Sukat Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol amo Yisrael Ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 44. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית העולם ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם עוד היא לעולם עוד היא לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית העולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. As we prepare for Amidah or Tefillah, I invite you to turn to page 46 and we ask Adonai to open our lips that our words may be heard, that our praises may be declared. Lehagid, Yagid, Magid, part of the Seder. Just another little reminder. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai open up my lips, that my mouth may speak your praise. 48. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Agadol HaGibor VeHanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot VeImahot, Umevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umageh, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Nehoshia. And for the last Shabbat that we'll say this year, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem. Second night of Seder we start saying Oridatal Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Ishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot Umidom Elach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Ata L'hachayot HaKol Baruch Ata Adonai Mechayei HaKol. Page 52. Ata Kadosh Shimcha Kadosh Ukeroshim B'chol Yom Yahalelucha Selah. Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We'll take a few moments for private meditations, the meditations of your heart, or the words that are found either on the right-hand side of Siddur or the left-hand side of interpretive readings, as you prefer. We conclude our silent prayer on page 62. If you're still offering your private meditations, feel free to do so at your own pace. Oh, say shalom, shalom, bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'immeru amen. Oh, say shalom, shalom, bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'immeru amen. Hu יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. אמן. אמן. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. ועל כל ישראל With our hearts open, we turn to page 253. And we invite members of the community to list names of people for whom we're praying for speedy recovery of refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, of body and spirit. I know we're all thinking of so many people. Sarah Bank, Peter Tufel, also Ina Pokhtar, Arthur Hirsch, Jack Sipian, Roy and Gina and Richie. And of course, we're keeping foremost in our thoughts our beloved Rabbi Meir Feldman, Meir Ben Ruvain Vidvora, Dottie Feldman, Sally Wolf, John Hirsch, Ken Leff, Bill Perez, Mara Walden, and all those who are suffering and in need. Let's sing together. Mi sheberach avoteinu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. With those prayers for healing on our lips, we are cognizant in this moment that the Feldmans are not with us on the bima this evening. Of course, their presence is missed and yet still felt. And we are very pleased and happy to have joining us, not in their place, but as a wonderful guest, our very own congregant Howard Herman, to give a Devar Torah on this week's Parshat Tzav. And with that, I'm going to invite, there he is, I'm going to invite you to make sure you're unmuted and take it away, Howard.
Thank you, Cantor. Shabbat Shalom and happy Passover. I'm honored to deliver our Devar Torah this evening as we pray for the speedy and full recovery of our beloved Rabbi, Mayor Feldman. The nice patient lady from Malvern Jewish Center who helped me prepare my Devar Torah for my bar mitzvah nearly 60 years ago would be shocked to know that I'm doing this. I don't remember her name, but I remember short hair, glasses, and a lot of red marks on my drafts. This week's Parsha, Tzav, is the second Parsha in the book of Leviticus. Those of us who like to think that we're well-educated, sophisticated, and open-minded can sometimes find it difficult to find meaning and relevance in the stories contained in our ancient texts. That challenge is made even more difficult when we're dealing with the rules contained in those texts, and more difficult still when those rules relate to rituals concerning the temple of old. And that's just what Tzav is about. Rules relating to ritual sacrifices and the conduct of High Priest Aaron and his sons regarding those sacrifices. We don't have high priests today, nor do we hold ritual sacrifices at the now destroyed temple. Nevertheless, I'd like to draw some parallels between those days and ours, including parallels between the priests of ancient times and today's rabbis, although I'm certain those priests wouldn't like to think that anyone could compare to them. And I don't imagine many rabbis would care to be compared to the priests of old. In order to draw those parallels, I'm going to focus on two sets of verses from this week's Parsha, those near the beginning and those near the end. Verse 5 relates to the burnt offering. It states, quote, "The fire on the altar shall be kept burning, not to go out. Every morning the priest shall feed wood to it," close quote. As if that isn't clear enough, the very next verse repeats the words, quote, "A perpetual fire shall be kept burning on the altar, not to go out." Now let's look at the concluding verses of our Parsha. They describe the manner in which Aaron and his sons are to be ordained. Aaron is to be dressed in a very elaborate outfit. Oil is to be poured upon Aaron's head. Blood from the animals that are sacrificed on the altar is to be placed and sprinkled upon specified parts of Aaron's body and on his vestments. Finally, Aaron and his sons are to eat the sacrificed animal along with bread. What meaning can we draw from today from the rules regarding the perpetual fire? We do have a Ner Tamid, an eternal lamp in our sanctuaries. However, I'd like to think that the perpetual fire of old is a metaphor for even more, that it is a metaphor for the fire that burns in all of us who seek to understand more about our traditions, who want to get closer to God, and who desire to maintain and perpetuate all that is good in Judaism. Likewise, it is a metaphor for the collective fire that burns within our sacred Beth-El community. And all those rituals regarding the ordination of the priest, what can they mean for us today? They're a far cry from the rituals surrounding the ordination of today's rabbis, and we've certainly not seen any of that at an installation service at Temple Beth-El. While we don't dress our rabbis up in a tunic, headdress, breastpiece, and sash, we do dress them up in extra, extra large expectations. We call on them to be all things to all congregants. They must be wise, diplomatic, learned, caring, and imbued with endurance that can take them from an early morning minyan through meetings, phone calls, counseling sessions, pastoral visits, funerals and weddings, shiva visits, and so much more, sometimes all in one day. The priests of old could eat of the sacrificial offering. We compensate our rabbis with money. Now let's draw a more pointed parallel. It wasn't long ago that we learned that Rabbis Meir and Tara would be leaving us in the summer of 2022. And then in recent days, We learned that Meir would be undergoing surgery, that under the best circumstances would disable him from attending to his rabbinic duties for a few weeks. So what does the Torah prescribe when the priest is sick or just isn't up to tending to the fire one day? Unfortunately, Tzav doesn't contain a 25th Amendment regarding the temporary incapacity of the priest. It doesn't tell us what to do if a spiritual leader cannot meet our expectations for a period of time. The Torah does contain a succession plan for when the priest is gone altogether. Aaron's sons are to follow in their father's footsteps. Although we're very fond of Meir's and Tara's children, that approach isn't going to work for us. So how do we keep the fire burning right now, when one of our rabbis is incapacitated for a few weeks, and when we know our rabbis will be leaving next year? We call upon the knowledge that the Beth-El community has already kept the fire going for more than 90 years, through all nature of challenges, including an actual fire. We call upon all we have learned from our rabbis to help us get through the challenges we now face. We use the ability and drive within ourselves to keep our fires burning. As a community, we employ our strengths, talents, and wisdom to engage in a smooth transition process through the time when a worthy successor takes over for Rabbis Meir and Tara. And what support are we to give our spiritual leaders at a time when more than monetary support is needed? We provide the kind of strong, compassionate, and helpful support that Rabbis Meir and Tara have been providing to us since their arrival in our community. We make sure we show understanding and empathy, and we do our best to meet the needs of our rabbis. Indeed, that's what we're already doing with the preparation and delivery of meals. When you think about it, all we really need to do is apply the lessons we've learned from our rabbis and follow the example they have set. Kain Yehi Ratzon, may it be so.
Thank you, Howard, for those poignant and amazingly relevant observations from Parshat Tzav. I want to actually just add on a couple thoughts there. One of the jobs of some of the priests, of some of the Kohanim, was to clean up the ashes after the various korbonot, the various offerings. You might think that that dirty job would be kind of relegated to the last person in line, but actually it was something that that priests would fight over, and they wanted to be the ones to do that holy work, that take out that holy trash. Sometimes doing holy work is not easy, and sometimes it's not so clean. And so your observations about the work of the current rabbinate and what we ask them to do is very heartfelt, and we very much appreciate it. I'm thinking also about chametz again. Kind of the idea just keeps on coming back to me. Not just the idea of chametz, but the idea that chametz keeps on coming back, that no matter how much we look for chametz and clean it out, that it always seems to reappear. There's always another corner that has collected a few crumbs, or we find on top of the counter in one area, there's a little bit of schmutz. And it occurs to me as I was finding these chametz today and all this week, that even though we search for chametz before Passover, the truth is that as soon as it begins, there's more crumbs. And the crumbs keep reappearing. And it's not so much the search that's important and the cleaning it out, it's that the work is ongoing, and that we have to continue to find those little bits of leavening in our hearts all throughout the year. That work of cleaning out our hearts and keeping them healthy is something that we must do all year round. With that, I want to invite you all to turn to page 282. We rise for Aleinu at the bottom of 282. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יחיה אדוני אחד ושמו We now turn our thoughts to our loved ones, members of the community and members of our family whom death has taken from us recently and in recent months, those who died also at this season in years past, and those who have no one for whom to offer praise in their stead. We draw their names into our hearts now with our own. If you have a name of someone beloved whom you wish to add to that list, Zhenya Green, Aunt Edith, Michael Nevins, Mel Oberlander, Isaac Ehrlich, Sonia Ehrlich, Evan Delitis, and others whose names we hold in our hearts. If it's your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, please feel free to do so at this time. We're on page 294. Anne Hand. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, Be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'elam ulomei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imeru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imeru, Amen. Ose shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all of us and to all of Israel and all the world. And let us say, Amen. Please feel free to be seated. If you're standing, no sense in standing through announcements, and we have several. First, tonight's virtual Oneg is hosted by Elaine Springer. Thank you, Elaine. Stay on the Zoom after services conclude, and you'll be given a very light and airy dessert. So light and airy, no calories, because it's made out of air. It doesn't exist. So it's virtual chametz Oneg tonight. No baking, but if you'd like to host a future Oneg, a virtual Oneg, please, there's nothing involved. You don't have to bake anything. All you have to do is stay on the Zoom. So contact the main office if you're interested and let us know. It's easy and a great way to make some new friends. This weekend, tomorrow morning, Torah study, 9 o'clock. Shabbat Torah study. The new Zoom links are available in your emails. So if you're looking for the new Zoom link, you have it. It's in your inbox. So there is a Shabbat service, Leiled, at 10:30, and that is sure to be a treat. Also, a program note, Havdalah this week, because Pesach begins on Saturday night, Havdalah is part of the Seder. So we won't be having Havdalah online because it's actually like 2 or 3 pages into the Haggadah. So you'll find that you'll if you light candles for Yom Tov, you'll light the candles and you'll recite Kadesh or Chatz, and then you'll say Kiddush with the wine, and then you'll find if Seder begins on Saturday night, add these 2 blessings, and those are the blessings for Havdalah. Bein Kodesh LeKodesh, you don't put out your Havdalah candle. It's actually the Yom Tov candle, so you just keep it lit. You don't touch it. You just leave it there. You look at it. Looks good. So, additional programming that you should know about. There is a morning support group every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Please RSVP to Daphna Weintraub here at the temple. There are no adult ed classes next week, due in part to Passover. They resume on April 5th and 7th, adult ed, Hebrew prayer reading and understanding with David Wolf, Mondays at 8 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7. If you have not already done so, you can register for the very special, but not so special. It'll be nice. The second night virtual Seder, which is led by yours truly. That is Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. An email to register just went out, so it'll come to me and I'll make sure you're included. Wednesday, the 31st, Sisterhood Passover Experience with Rabbi Tara. It's happening. 7:15 schmooze, followed by a program at 7:30. Sisterhood Passover Experience. I don't know, it sounds like a Jewish rock band to me. Rabbi Tara and the Sisterhood Passover Experience. All right, on Friday, April 2nd, that's coming soon, Erev Shabbat, we'll have a special guest speaker, Rabbi Michael Lizack, Rabbi of Glide in San Francisco, a radically inclusive and just and loving community mobilized to alleviate suffering and break cycles of poverty and marginalization. It's a lot. He's on the National Board of Teruah, the Rabbinic Call for Human Rights, and a very special guy and a friend of the Feldmans. So be sure to tune in for that. Also, next Friday night, we have our next Modim Moments. So we will show a slideshow. We're asking you, this is a good one, we're asking you to send in pictures, if you have them, of you getting your COVID vaccine. So if you can take a COVID selfie, if you took one already, send it in. And if you don't have one, you can just take a selfie of you and your COVID card, you know, the one that they give you. Yeah, take one of that, like holding it up proud. That'll be beautiful. We can't wait to see we're hoping we'll see lots of people will send in those beautiful cards and pictures of themselves for those moments of gratitude, Modim Moments, next Friday night. So send them in to Jackie Wadsworth here at the temple. Sunday, April 11th, 10 a.m., Peter Geffen will speak on the Moroccan exception, Conviviencia. This will be the second in our series of adult ed events sponsored by the Torah Celebration Project, celebrating our special ancient Sephardic Torah. Peter Geffen's a celebrated Jewish educator and a scholar of Sephardi Jewish history, and he'll present on Jewish life in Morocco. On Sunday, April 18th, the annual Great Neck Rabbinic Dialogue, Rabbis Meir, we hope, and Tara Feldman from Beth-El, Rabbi Howard Stecker from Temple Israel, and Rabbi Dale Polikoff from Great Neck Synagogue. I'm sure it's going to be exciting. Also, that night, 7 p.m., Zantangles and Zinfandel Art Night, sponsored by our Adult B'nai Mitzvah class to benefit Long Island Cares. Email Debbie Gruber or Jody Litt, or get in touch with the main office and we'll steer you in the right direction. There's plenty of stuff after that on April 22nd and April 25th, but it's not that important. It's just adult ed with the cantor, Global Jewish Grooves, music of Jewish Morocco, part of our Torah Celebration Project. And on April 25th, a cantorial concert event, Songs of Hope, Healing, and Love, featuring cantors from across the continent. It's going to be amazing. Continental. Also, let us know when, completely changing the subject, let us know when we can help and how we can help. If there's something going on in your life, please contact one of us at the congregation. Contact me directly, adavis@tbegreatneck.org. Let us know how we can help. If you just need someone to talk to or if something's going on in your life, it's all very confidential and discreet, and we want to be here for you. So please let us know what's happening. Whether it's a joy or a struggle, that's what we're here for. All right, some thank yous. Thank you to our very good friend Shai Kedmi on the keyboard, on the piano. Thank you to Howard Herman for his Devar Torah, an excellent one. Look forward to future Divrei Torah, Howard. Not letting you off the hook. Yep, good. Okay, and thanks to Stephen Fenn for helping completing the digitization of our ancient Sephardic Torah as part of the Torah Celebration Project. So amazing to see this. I can't wait to share these incredible images of the Torah with you very soon. Very, very amazing. Thank you to Greg Botwinick and Stu Botwinick and all the Botwinicks everywhere, wherever they may be, in Plainview and beyond. Thank you for all the work you do on behalf of our congregation. And thank you everyone for showing up and being part of our Shabbat celebration. It's wonderful to see you all. And I do see you all because you're on gallery view. With that, I'm going to ask Greg to switch to the TBE Tech. And we're going to flip all the way back to the book in page 4 for Kiddush, which is led by, no, switch back, it's good. Switch back. Me, hey, here I am again. Okay, we're on page 4. Vayehire vayevoker yom hashishi, vayechulu hashamayim be'aretz v'chol tevam, vayechol Elohim beyom hashvi melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa, vayevarech Elohim et yom hashevi, vayekadesh oto, ki hivo shavat mikol melachto, ki vo shavat Mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot Safri Chaim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu V'shabat kodsho v'yava uv'ratzon hinchilanu Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila l'mikrai kodesh Zeicher l'itziat Mitzrayim Ki v'anu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim V'shabat kodshecha v'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat. All right, and wow, look at this. Look, a very special, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, amotzi lechem min haaretz. Yummy matzah. Oh, I can't get enough. All right. We will conclude with Adon Olam on page 321, I believe. Yes. Okay. Adon Olam asher malach בטרם כל יציר נברא, ריד נשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, אחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתקווה. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשיל לו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בהייתי שן ואירה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא. אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא, אדון עולם אשר מלך, בטרם כל יציר נברא. Shabbat Shalom lekulam to everyone. Please feel free to stay on for this evening's Oneg, hosted by Elaine Springer. Thank you, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you,
Shabbat
Cantor.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Shine.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.